Angry Birds has always had the same main mechanic. You're playing as the bird, launching yourself into the pig's house trying to knock it down and kill the pig. Have you ever wondered what would it be like to play Angry Birds as the pig? To answer that question, I remade Angry Birds where you actually play as the pig. Now, I know they've made games like Bad Piggies, which is where you're playing as the pig, but in that game, it completely changes the main mechanic. In my remake, there are still going to be birds flying as the pig, but you need to keep the pig safe. The first step for this project was to make the bot to launch the birds. I set up this little testing environment to see how I should launch the bird the best. After a few test shots, we got to launch at a good spot. Now the way I'll make the gameplay change from round to round will be by adding random differences in the trajectory, so no two launches will be the exact same. The next step was creating the sprites for both the bird and the slingshot. Angry Birds has these iconic cartoon birds that everyone loves, so I wanted to capture that feel while adding my own twist. The bird I designed isn't exactly like the original Red Bird, but it has its own unique style that feels true to the game's charm. Then I drew up these parts for the slingshot, and I promise these are parts of a slingshot, not anything else. Anyways, then I made the sprite for the pig. I tried to make it in that same art style as the bird and the slingshot, so everything looks good together. Now onto the core mechanic of the game. You're going to be basically playing as a construction pig, placing blocks around yourself to protect yourself from flying birds. The first block I made was this wood block. Then I made a little preview that follows the mouse and shows you where you're going to place the block. When you use the left click, it'll be placed where you want it. I also made it so you'll be able to rotate and place it any orientation you want. Now, when the blocks get destroyed, they'll spawn this little particle effect to show how they got destroyed. I made this using the Unity particle system, and I feel like it just makes the game flow better overall, and improves the look and polish of the game. With this framework set up, it allows me to start working on the rest of the blocks. By the way, I'm just a small channel with less than 400 subscribers, and my goal is to get to 1,000 by the end of the year, so please consider subscribing. Next up was the ice block and the brick block. The different blocks will have different healths and need different forces to get destroyed. The brick will be the strongest and the ice will be the weakest, similar to how it works in the real Angry Birds. This will also lead to more strategy down the road, as you will get less of the brick blocks and more of the ice blocks. I also added that same particle effect for the wood getting destroyed to the other blocks and just simply changed the colors for it. Anyways, you might be noticing that the ground looks a little different. I took reference from the original Angry Birds game and made this stone or dirt layer and then a grass layer that hangs on top of it. I also went ahead and created this little animation for the bird getting into its slingshot. Right now I only have the red bird, but leave a comment if you think I should do a part 2 and add the other birds. I could do ones like the yellow bird that dashes, the blue one that splits, or even the bomb one that explodes the blocks. Then I found this free font that's similar to the Angry Birds font and I got to work on the UI. I created these little sections that show how many of each block you have left. This way you won't be able to spam them and it actually takes strategy. Here's when I implemented the actual game loop. The way it'll work is there will be 3 red birds that fly at you when you hit the spacebar. After each bird you will get the chance to rebuild your base and use the blocks you had left over. I also added this little text that shows you how many birds you have left to launch, and I created a game over screen for when the pig dies and a win screen for when the pig survives all 3 of the birds. Finally, to top the game off, I needed sounds. Now, usually for my games, I use this 8-bit sound effect Baker, but I feel like that wouldn't have really fit in this project. I experimented with making the sounds myself, and I don't think they turned out too bad. Then I made this little song that loops in the background. I tried to keep it similar to that Angry Birds vibe. Overall, I really liked this project. Angry Birds used to be one of my favorite games, so I'm happy it turned out so good. I put a link to the game in the description, so go see if you can beat it. It's actually kinda hard. Be sure to comment if you have any ideas or anything I should add to the game. Thanks for watching.